how's it going, everyone? I'm your host, Lex Rhodes, and welcome to another episode of The Basement. I'm here with the amazingly talented Tristan Elijah, and we're going to be talking about his new EP, Empathizing with Apathy. Tristan, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely, and thank you, Lex. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. My name's Tristan Elijah. It's actually my first and middle name, also my stage name too. In St. Pete, Florida right now, and have the opportunity to speak with Lex today about music and life and all kinds of fun stuff. So thank you again.
No problem. How would you describe your genre of music, and what are you primarily? Are you an instrumentalist? Are you primarily a vocalist, or you do a little bit of everything?
So primarily a vocalist. I do have Logic on the Mac, and I've been like testing the waters with production, and actually started making a lot of my own beats. Like four of the beats on my last album, Empathizing with Apathy, I made, and then had my producer come and touch it up. But mainly vocals. Um, as far as the genre, it's really a blend. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of pop rock, some metal, and different things. I had a record collection and turntables when I turned 18, and that opened the doors for hip hop. But my favorite thing is kind of bridging the gap between genres. A lot of acoustic stuff, a lot of more alternative, I guess. That's how I would describe the album. You know, it's like kind of hip hop, but also rock and poetic too. So just a blend.
And personally, I love that. I'm right up the same alley as you are. I love blending all those sounds together. I could tell, like, right when I first started listening, the first song, I'm just like, this sounds like it's going to be a hip hop, but rap type of album. But then you just came in, you have like that punk rock voice, that alternative vocal that's going on. So, like, I really like that and appreciate it. So, you really did a great job of blending everything together. And I would say, personally, my favorite song was definitely Mismanaged, if I was going to have to pick my favorite one off the EP right now. So,
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of people said it reminds them of like Juice World or one of those artists.
first off, great name for the title of the EP, Empathizing with Apathy. It's almost hard to say sometimes. Empathizing with Apathy, because I feel like sometimes apathy is almost scarier than feeling too many emotions. So why don't you talk a little bit how you came up with that title, with that name?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it goes really far back. I mean, I was a rebellious youth. I ran away at 18. My real dad wasn't really around in the picture. I was actually born with a physical disability too, called arthrogryposis. So it's about 1 in 3,000 births. Usually it affects the upper and lower extremities. For me, it was just in the arms and shoulders. So, you know, I found ways to kind of navigate the world on my own terms and figure things out. But just growing up, it was hard, you know, like I always thought, why me? Why was I put in this body? And, you know, why do I have to go through all these things, like being bullied as a kid? And it's hard for anyone just kind of navigating your path in the world. But I was such an angry kid. And it took me so long to finally understand that or empathize with that anger. But not just that, figure out the source to which that was coming from. What's funny is the cover art on the album, the monk meditating next to that big tree. There was a point in my life, probably around 2 years ago. You know, the previous few years, I had moved to St. Pete. I was in college, started working, and then really got just caught up in those bad cycles again, drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, like just feeling so lost, completely lost. And about 2 years ago, I hit a point where I realized I was about to be 25, and I realized, wow, I'm headed down the wrong path. Like I didn't even see myself living a few weeks from whatever day that it was. It was bad. And I ended up checking myself into a 30-day crisis intervention center, Turning Point here in St. Pete, and finally got some help. Finally got some help, and you know, figured out, where's this anger coming from? You know, why am I self sabotaging? Why do I keep getting all these great opportunities and jobs and things, and then completely just mismanaging or burning it all? So along that timeline of me figuring those things out, you know, I got my own apartment for the first time. I was finally holding down a job. I was, you know, finally able to make music again and feel happy and live life so less conditionally that it helped me like empathize with that anger or with that apathy. And it was kind of like jokingly, I had thought about it before. It's like, oh, that'd be a cool title for something, a song maybe. And then as the album started, you know, going into formation, it was like, well, yo, this is it. Like this is my open letter to that anger. This is my open letter to addiction, mental health, substance abuse, being a runaway youth, like all those things that not only I went through, but I'm sure tons of other people throughout time have gone through or are going through right now. So that's where the title came from. Yeah, it's been a journey to get here for sure. It was like a 2-year project getting that album done. Finally got it.
Dude, that is a beautiful story. I'm so happy to see where you have ended up today. And I'm so glad we got to talk to each other because who knows what would have happened. That is a beautiful, beautiful story. I'm so glad to hear you pulled out on the other side. And you're right, because even me, I connected with pretty much every song you put on the album. I've been in that dark place before. And like you said, it could have started off as just a little corny, empathizing with apathy. But to me, apathy is so scary. It's going to be, especially in the world nowadays, apathy is like one of the worst things you can have. And that's why almost nowadays I care a little too much, but I would much rather care. And like you were saying, getting to a place where you can feel like you can make music again and feel like you have everything together is such a beautiful and wonderful feeling. 2 years, I love it because not everything is because Rome was not built in a day. 2 years for an EP, that is some amazing work. And I just want to ask, what was the songwriting process?
So really the first song on the album, Yo, that was supposed to be on the original album. I had like wildly different songs than what you have now on all those platforms and what the album manifested into. But a couple of years ago, more than two, probably 3 or 4, I was living at home again with my parents here in St. Pete on a really bad path. I was introduced to like psychedelics around that time, and like I was just losing touch with reality. And I remember I was doing something probably crazy in St. Pete, and I was going to the bus stop to get somewhere, and I had just found GarageBand on my parents' like really old Mac desktop in the office there, and I just started playing around, like finding loops online, and hey, maybe I should try and make my own beats because my engineer and producer was always like, dude, you can make this shit yourself. Like you don't have to go on BeatStars. You don't like make it yourself. Just try, even if it's not the greatest thing ever. Take what you have and you could bring it to a producer, an engineer, and they could beef it up. And that's what happened with the 4 of those songs, like Yo, Wings of a Fly, A Burning Desire, and Mirror Lake. I created the idea and then brought it to someone else, and they gave it a new sense of life. But Yo, I just wrote. Really, I was lost. Like one of the lines is, drawing a line, calling for help won't save me. That's how I really felt at the time with the social circle that I had and all these outside responsibilities that I also had in life aside from just partying and having a good time. I felt trapped. I felt like I could scream as loud as I can, but no one's gonna hear me. It's like the boy that cried wolf. After so many times, people just kind of turn a blind eye to it. So that's how that started. Mirror Lake, the second song, I actually lived at a place called Mirror Lake, like 5 blocks that way from where I'm at now. And it was another beat that I had. My buddy actually had Logic, which is kind of like an advanced garage band,
Yeah.
and just something simple I had made. But I would walk around the lake every single morning with my headphones on. And that actually started as freestyle. A lot of my stuff, it's just usually like freestyle, and then I start to write it down and kind of manifest it. Mismanaged kind of came out of the woodwork during quarantine. I remember I had switched units. I had a really bad roommate situation. I ended up getting into a new one. COVID was beating down hard on everyone's door, and the world just seemed so crazy. And I remember just looking through sounds and beats, and I just started writing it. I just started singing and writing it, and that it was really interesting. But that was at a point too where my life felt very mismanaged again. It was like, you ever feel like you're walking on a tightrope trying to juggle things?
Yeah.
Like that's how I felt at the time. Like one wrong move, I could go back to that dark place again. Wings of a Fly, deep place in my heart. I'm actually gonna get my next tattoo of fly wings on my back in a place where my addiction was pretty heavy. And I was also around, I think I was at Mirror Lake at the time. Yeah, I was walking around, and it kind of started as a poem, which was weird. I didn't even think that it would be a song, but it was just me voicing the truth that was happening with my addiction, with my life. You know, been getting high with the wings of a fly. As high as you get, if you have wings that small, you're always going to crash back down to the earth. And those were some of the revelations I was having at that time. The fifth song on the album, Faith, that one was dark. I don't know if you gathered that, the one with the screaming on it, but I wrote that after Turning Point. I did the 30-day program, and then I transitioned into a halfway house for about a month. And it was crazy. Like the day before I went into the program, I interviewed for a job, and then the next day went into the program. They don't let you out for like 2 weeks. So I'm freaking out, like, oh my God, I don't have my phone. What happens if they call me? Like, maybe this job won't come through. It actually did. It was one of the best full-time positions I've ever had. But when I was living in the south side of St. Pete at this halfway house, there was a bus stop way at the end of the street, like super sketchy part of town, way at the end of the street. And I had to take that to get actually downtown to start this job. So every morning I would be there at the bus stop once again, like with my headphones in. And I remember at the time I was just so angry, like boiling, and not angry at the world, not angry at any external circumstances, but angry at myself. Like, damn, is this it? And I remember right across the street from the bus stop, there's the oldest cemetery in St. Pete. And that would haunt me looking at that every morning. Like, you know, what happens when you die? Does anybody care? Will you be remembered at all? Like, it's the gravity of everything is very real. And I just remember like screaming one day, like, I know that I fucked up. And that turned into the song. That turned into part of the chorus for that song.
I
And
actually really love that song. I could hear and feel the passion, the emotion in your voice.
yeah, no, of course. And I do want to hear it one day. But yeah, even one of the lines too was funny because it was, I don't want to say it was like a Christian household. They definitely preached the Bible a lot. I mean, when you walked in, they had a whole bookshelf of like the oldest looking Bibles, and they were always trying to push that, you know, religion and you need to get closer to God. And me, I'm like fucking up and doing all these crazy things. So that's where the line love to stray from the cross, hate to say I've been lost really came into play.
I really did
But
like that line a lot. I when I heard that song, I was really curious. Oh wow, he's got some religious metaphors in here. I really want to know where that came from. So I'm really glad you got to touch on that a little bit. That's really cool.
yeah, kind of playing on my like rebellious side, and that's where Tristan Elijah comes from too. Like, yeah, it is my first and middle name. I never wanted to use that, but my mom would always say that when I got in trouble as a kid. Like, if I heard Tristan Elijah, I was like, oh fuck,
Yep, the
I did
first and the
something
middle
bad.
name.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's also my way to kind of find redemption for that, or you know, have my name remembered for something positive too. But then the last song on the album, "A Burning Desire," that also started as a poem, and originally it was about a girl like that. Luckily, didn't work out, and it was literally like 2 or 3 lines. I didn't even know where to take it, and I realized it also had a lot of symbolism with my addiction to nicotine at the time. And that's really what that song's about. Um, you know, which is really, really hard. I know there's a lot of addictions, and obviously, like drugs and alcohol are real too, very real. But I feel like there's not a lot of coverage on like nicotine and caffeine and entertainment, and like there's many different avenues. So my song was kind of homage to that. But yeah, I put all the songs together, like I said, varyingly different from the original like couple songs that I had, and it was time. I knew it. I played it to my producer, my engineer, friends, everybody that I could find. Like, what do you think of this? And they all said like, "Yo, it's done. Like, you just gotta mix it, master it, get it ready for distribution." But like, a lot of people said the cool thing about it is that, you know, by themselves, each song is great, but put together from like track 1 to track 6, it like tells a story almost. It's like they were meant to connect with each other, but they're so different. So that was very inspiring to hear. And so much feedback so far, man. So much feedback. I've been writing it all down from people. I mean, it's really had an emotional response. And that kind of music is really something to cherish and hold tightly.
I love it. And yeah, you did a great job with the arrangement of the EP. I know that's such a hard thing for people to do. I've had trouble with that, but you definitely nailed it right on the head. Just to touch on a couple other things about the song, Mismanaged. I love that it's kind of the opposite of what we've been hearing a lot of people throughout COVID saying they got more motivated, they got some shit together. Meanwhile, I actually probably felt more like how you did with the whole mismanagement situation. And then even going back with the other types of addictions like entertainment, I found myself just watching whatever I could watch on TV because I had all this free time and nothing to do. I love that your producer friend was like, you can do this on your own. So many times, especially in the music industry, people want to take advantage of those who don't know what they're doing. And the fact that he's like, no, just do a little bit more. When you think you have something, I'll come help it out. I'll do what I can because you're still learning. But every time you make more and more, you'll gain those skills and you'll be able to eventually do everything on your own. And you've done a fantastic job of everything right now. And it really is truly inspirational. And you've clearly done most of this by yourself. What kind of support system did you have, if any?
So let me think. I mean, obviously I wrote everything lyrically wise, and all the ad libs and different effects. I made pretty much the idea for the beats, like the four of them that I mentioned earlier. The other two my producer made because I really just had the lyrics. It was like, well, I don't really know a song to this. I think I had a loop or something, but that was it. Just one loop, and kind of ran with it from there. But yeah, as far as like, financing the studio time, I had to do that. I had to Uber to Grand Bay Recording Studios in Tampa, which is phenomenal, by the way. I mean, they work with like Capitol Records, MGK, all kinds of artists. And I went there to record all the vocals. And then they bounced the vocals and each like session, all the track stems into a zip file. And I sent that off to my producer who worked on everything. He took the vocals, finished up the beats, glued everything together. He mixed and mastered everything. Checked the levels for streaming, making sure everything is like equivalent to what you would hear on the radio, and then sent it back when it was done. So that was a really good support system there. I had a lot of moral support from other friends. My producer, his name's Josh Hill, and I actually have a mutual friend, Pierce, we go back to like high school. We've known each other for a long time. They were both in band. So he didn't really get hands on with the album, but he gave Josh a lot of feedback, like, hey, on this part, you should do this kind of drum fill or have a reverb throw here. And even for myself, he's given me a lot of constructive criticism as well. And yeah, other than that, just a lot of family and friends that have been really supportive along the way too. I actually was able to fundraise a little bit to do the copyrights for my album once it was done. So I was very thankful to have a lot of people that really believed in me and let me make that happen. And it really opened up a lot of doors. I mean, in the same vein as, starting a beat and then bringing it to a producer for it to evolve into something else. I feel the same is true for this album. Like I had to finish the album and put it out for people to hear it and resonate with it and do awesome interviews like this and have all these doors start to open up. So it's been a really cool journey along the way so far.
What kind of advice would you give to other people who are struggling with either substance abuse, alcohol addiction, nicotine, you name it?
I mean, that's a really good question and a deep one. Obviously, there's different levels to it as well. I mean, when I went to Turning Point, I was in there for really just smoking a bunch of weed at the time and alcohol and, some minor things. And then there's people that are like coming off crack cocaine and heroin, and it can go on. But for me, I think what I'll say is the biggest turning point that I had, which is ironic because I was at Turning Point, was there was a week where we had to sleep on the floor before, because there's a revolving door of people in that place all the fucking time. And when a bed opens up in the actual rooms, they'll move you off the floor into there. I didn't dream for a week straight. No dreams at all. I couldn't sleep. It fucking smelled awful. The people in there were, oh man, it was just so fucking weird. But the night that I got a room, I remember I finally started dreaming again. And right before I went to bed, I prayed. And I don't pray every night. I don't pray all the time. Things that I pray for sometimes don't come, or they don't come when I want it because it's not on my time, and that's a really interesting thing with it. But I remember praying not for anything, not asking for something, because I was very selfish when I did pray, like, hey, take this problem away. Hey, let this thing happen. And, I just talked and, being thankful, and I forgave myself. That was the most fucking pivotal moment of my whole life. I didn't ask for forgiveness. I forgave myself. I said, Tristan, I forgive you for everything that you've done, for running away at such a young age, for polluting your body with all this bullshit all these years, for feeling unloved or not good enough, or, like just forgave myself for so many things. And I swear, Lex, like maybe not that second or minute after, but that next morning, I felt a monumental shift in everything, dude. Like I got the job, ended up, getting out and, taking care of myself again. I, got one of the best jobs I had. I moved into my own apartment. I got my credit score up. I started, connecting with my family and my friends and running every day and eating healthy, and like, and then all these other people started coming into my life that, I feel like energy is real. Energy attracts like energy. When you're in a negative space, well, that's what it might attract. But when you're in a true to yourself and centered space, you'd be surprised the people and opportunities and things that will start to kind of migrate your way into your life. So, I can't speak for everybody, but I would say, you have to find the source, and maybe it's not forgiving just yourself. Maybe it's forgiving, family or friends, or, but letting go of things, empathizing with that apathy, just knowing, like, sure, as energetic beings, we have eternal life, but we have a very short time window, at least in this body. So, like, why not make the most use of it that you can? Live life to the fullest, live life less conditionally, and even with writing and stuff, I get creative blocks all the time. Even today, like I put my headphones on and I was like, nope, I'm not making a beat or anything today. I don't even want to listen to music, but who knows? Tomorrow's another day. And for me, the biggest thing was staying true to myself. I don't like rapping about cars and money and big booty bitches and all this shit that I hear on the radio. Like, it's cool, it has its place. But if I started talking about like driving a Tesla and rocking VVS's and all this crazy shit, I'm not living any of that. It's not true at all. And, the facade will drop instantly. But I wrote this whole album and most of my music from a true space within myself, from real fucking things that I'm going through, real emotions, feelings, and just being so honest. And I even had a buddy that when I shared him the album, he wrote me back and said, the biggest thing is I admire your ability to let your guard down in music, being so vulnerable, because that's, I'm not going to say it's not common from artists that I know and like and seen. It's not always common, and it's cool. Trust me, I listen to Future and Juice World and a lot of those people all the time too. It gets me motivated in the day or at the gym, but just really coming from that true place within yourselves, man, you'll reach a lot of fucking people.
100%. And you're so right. Forgiving yourself is going back, forgiving yourself, one of the hardest things you can possibly do. Not being too hard on yourself, all of that. And I'm honestly just so in awe because what you said was just beautiful and 100% correct. The whole environment aspect, I really have no, I am really am speechless. That really was beautiful.
I'll be here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
When you're talking about staying true to yourself, that is the most important thing, I think, for any artist, musician, and not getting caught up in what society or what the industry wants you to sing about or want you to like or want you to put off this image about, especially since nowadays being an artist is just about the image. It's mostly about marketing, not really your music. It's more about marketing who you are as an artist. But you just putting it all in your music is something I 100% respect as well, and something I resonate from from an artist perspective as well. So I think that's something that every artist should keep in mind going forward. And I love that with more artists like you, we are bringing more awareness to mental health in society and really making it more mainstream instead of just shoving it off to the side every other day.
And there's ways to find subtlety in it too. I mean, same with like, Christian music or maybe some of the religious stuff. I'm not usually a personal fan. There's a few songs that I do really like, but it's not the genre that I listen to because a lot of it's just so direct. but there's ways to be subtle about it. I mean, even a lot of the songs on the album had so many references that like you people might not catch the fifth time listening to it because it's written in a way where it's like it's simple and it's easy to say. It's not super complex. And like even myself, I'm working on a Christian album right now. I'm working on country songs right now. I have a pop rock metal album that's almost done, and like a bunch of other stuff, and like pushing myself to go beyond the boundaries of what's considered normal by some or by myself. Why do I have to just keep rapping all the time? Why do I have to find the same style of beats? Like fucking mix it up. And even on, the Christian album that I'm doing, you won't know, like, unless it's actually written like this is a Christian album, you would not fucking know because it's so subtle, and it's smooth. It's not like just preaching and all this stuff. So I really feel like you can get creative with what you say and how you say it to be able to give to people.
Being able to tie the line between this is Christian rock, but you can't tell. I really am excited to see what you do with that because I really hope you do it right. Given what you've done with this EP, I think you're going on the right track.
Yeah, I wanted to share something else. I don't know if you had seen the music video that I did before the album. Yeah, so I got this the Sunshine City Film Festival. I actually won the best music video for 2021. They had a big festival here in St. Pete. And about like 2 or 3 years ago, in one of the dark places I was at, I had this song called Hollowed that I started writing, and I'm actually about to re-release it. It was on my first EP that I did back in like 19, so I'm gonna re-release that project shortly. But I had an idea for a music video for the deaf community or people with hard of hearing, and I just didn't know how I was going to manifest it. And at the time, it was funny because it's like, man, does anybody care about my music, or is anybody even listening? Like, I just remember thinking that, and it was like, well, what about people that can't? Like, like what is their perspective on it? And it was like, oh, like what if I use like ASL and sign language and have people interpret my lyrics, and did something really cool, something completely out of the norm. And flash forward 2 years after Turning Point, after I, settled back down and started working at that full-time position, it was at a co-working space. If you're familiar with that, like shared offices, a place for people to create and connect. And there was a film company in there called the Scatter Brothers. And we had talked about doing a music video. I ended up fundraising $400 and then paid the rest out of pocket. It was like a $1,500 music video shoot, had a full team, and I connected with people on the Deaf Literacy Center in Pinellas County. It's a library program that provides resources to people that are deaf or hard of hearing. And I got their students to come out to the video shoot, their instructor. I had a mutual friend that just graduated with a degree in sign language studies and interpreting. And we broke down all the lyrics, we had them in the video. Oh, it is awesome. And yeah, it was so cool to finally get that done, and then for it to be entered into the festival, and to have such a great response from people too. So yeah, you'll definitely have to check that out. Hollowed on YouTube.
That is awesome. Another medium. That's so cool, dude.
But really, my idea with every project that I put out, and maybe some singles, but really the projects, is I wanted to have a cause associated with it. Like Hollowed was for the deaf community, which Tampa Bay has the third largest deaf community in the U.S. It's pretty huge. Empathizing with Apathy was all about mental health and some of those issues. I want to do a video soon where it captures people with varying kinds of disabilities doing cool shit, like fucking on skateboard ramps, or like overcoming obstacles, like being a voice for all of these demographics and underrepresented communities. That is my mission. And while I don't really talk about it a lot, I do want to be a voice for people with disabilities too, specifically in music. Not to say that there aren't musicians that do have some type of disability, maybe some are more minor, but I don't really see it a lot in hip hop, at least currently, and rap. And growing up, I always really wanted a role model, someone to look up to that I could relate to. And I never really did in that capacity. So yeah, just being a voice for people that don't have one, it's really important to me.
I like that you have a different goal for each project you do, because sometimes that's so hard for people. Other times people just want to do it just to do it. Giving yourself a goal and just bringing awareness to all these different things that I'm hearing about, you wanting to be a role model for people with disabilities. You're completely right. There really isn't any in the hip hop community.
There was another group too, but I don't know. It was all whatever I saw was more satirical, and I mean that from like a being a someone with a disability that's like mainstream in a way, that it's like a household name. Like that would be fucking cool. And yeah, the causes are really great. Even with this album, I connected with someone named Johnny Crowder. He started his own organization called Cope Notes, and they do mental health services via SMS and texting. And we had an interview very much like we are right now, and we're actually partnering together to where 100% of my album sales are going to cover the cost of a monthly subscription for people that can't afford it or want to gift it to friends and family, that can cover that mental health cost. I put a lot of time and I put a lot of money and resources and all these things into it. I don't want anything financially back from it aside from getting a fan base and people hearing it and enjoying it or connecting. And so far a lot of people have, and a lot of people that are in very similar dark places, it's kind of been a light for them in a way. But yeah, that was my main thing with this album is 100% of the physical proceeds from it I want to give away to something else, something greater than myself, because the end of the day, and it's a really hard concept to grasp for some people. It took me a long time, but even though it's my music, it's not mine. It's not for me, it's for someone else in the world that needs it. So put it out and move on to the next thing.
We need more people like you in the world, because I feel like you embody one of my favorite phrases, music for the sake of music. And you're doing exactly that. You're making music not just for yourself, but for other people to enjoy and to connect to, which some people might think is corny, but I feel like you and I come from the same place. We grew up listening to those songs and connecting to those artists, and we want to almost help other people connect and really know that, hey, I might not be going through your situation, but I know what it's like to be at the worst you've ever felt. Yeah.
I've been there. That's what I mean. A lot of the songs hit on that, but Faith especially. Um, it really came from like the darkest place. Like, yeah, there was definitely a night. I'm glad I didn't have a rope or something around here, but I hit a point where I was just like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. And it's so hard to get out of that headspace, man. So hard.
Really
And I don't wish that on anybody. Because everyone, no matter what shape, no matter what size, no matter what skin color, everyone is beautiful. Like literally energetic beings in human form. And I don't know, it's so cool just to appreciate like another soul, not just what someone's wearing or how their hair looks for the day, but looking past all of that to realize you are a soul and so am I, and all these people were like these beings, and it's really cool. I really want to hit on that more with music as well.
That is, again, beautiful. Everyone, Tristan, this has been a fantastic conversation. Your message of empathizing with apathy and being a role model for people with disabilities and wanting to just inspire those who feel like there's no inspiration in the world is beautiful. We need more people like you. And I really do hope people who watch this, who come across this, really do get inspired and see that, hey, I can get out of this low point. I can get through it. And I know that there is a brighter day ahead. It may not be today, but just a little bit each day, a little and a little, and start to appreciate yourself and appreciate life. And that's so important. So, one last question
Yeah.
I got to ask, what's next for you?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Lex. I am going to run some paid advertising soon for the album just to get a little more traction. Also planning for a mental health benefit concert soon. I have a venue. I just got to lock down the other artist and the actual day. But all the proceeds are going to go towards Cope Notes. My goal is to raise at least $1,000 that night, and that would cover the cost of 100 subscriptions. It's $10 a month for people that need mental health services, catered food, a really great assortment of artists. As far as musically, I have some things on the back burner. I mean, like the Christian album and stuff's a little far off. I just started 2 songs recently with my production team that's like hip hop meets EDM and house. So that's going to be really interesting. I have a country song cover that's coming out, and shit, I got a 9 song album that's like 7 out of 9 songs done. That was supposed to go after Empathizing with Apathy. I think there's a quote from Nikola Tesla that says somewhere along the lines of, if you can understand the significance of the numbers 3, 6, and 9, you can unlock the mysteries of the universe. So my first EP was 3 songs. Empathizing with Apathy is 6, and my next album, self-entitled, is going to be 9 songs. And the funny thing about the next album is, and you know how people put out like self-titled EPs or albums?
Hmm.
It's just their name. So mine's going to be self-entitled to
I
kind of play that part of me.
like that. I
Um,
like that a lot.
yeah, so that, and then I have a whole, it came out of the complete blue probably about a week and a half ago, but I already got like 4 or 5 songs done on a pop rock metal album that I'm putting together. Think of like, I don't know, Bring Me the Horizon meets Paramore meets like a bunch of bands that we grew up with, kind of like, you know, some MGK vibes, I guess, on the more pop punk side of it. But yeah, that's going to be really fun too. A lot of screaming parts and tapping more into that metal side, and a couple singles too. I think in the meantime, I'm definitely going to put out some more single content just to keep that momentum going, you know, and showcase other sounds and styles.
I love it. And you seem to just be truly enjoying every second of it. I love that it seems like almost every other day you're creating something new. This mental health benefit concert, when did you say it was going to be?
So originally it was supposed to be September 1st. I did not get my live track outs in time, and then I, you know, started the new full-time gig. So I'm kind of pushing it back. I'd like to do it before the end of the year, but I have a venue. I have like 3 artists so far that confirm they would open up for me. I have a DJ and all that stuff. So it's really just locking down a day. I'd like to maybe get it closer to October 18th, only because 2 years ago that will make the day that I checked out of Turning Point. That
Congratulations.
would be one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of pay a tribute to that. But I think it falls on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so I'd really like to do maybe the Friday after, but I'll keep you posted for sure.
Awesome.
I have most of the pieces done, but also a lot of new music too that I'm like, well, shit, I could perform some of this too. Like, but that'll be really fun, and I'd like to do more shows like that, or even streaming. So it's been fun, man. I definitely want to do some traveling soon, though. I'm overdue. I actually started a job with a luxury hotel, and they got a lot of good perks. So I'm saving up that PTO and gonna make a trip, man. I'll have to come out and see you one weekend.
Heck yeah, come over to Chicago. Tristan, thank you so much for being here. People can follow you on Instagram at Tristan Elijah, correct?
Yeah, Tristan Space Elijah on Instagram, Tristan Elijah on Facebook. I have my own website too, tristanelijah.com, and I have everything on there. You can buy the album, you can look at, you know, the music video. I have merchandise and all kinds of cool stuff. So
Love it, love it, love it. Tristan, thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a couple of videos of Tristan performing a couple of songs of his. Tristan, got any last words to say to people?
I love you all. You all are beautiful human beings, and no matter what your path is in life, music or something else, like keep going for it and keep holding that confidence within yourself. You'll get there. Might take some time, but anything's possible in this lifetime.
Thanks again, Tristan, for taking the time to sit down with us. Your story is inspiring, and we can't wait to see what you do next. Due to Tristan living in Florida, we had to get a little creative about how we were going to do this live performance. But thankfully, Tristan was able to think outside the box and give us an amazing a cappella version of his song, Mismanaged. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to follow Tristan on all of his social medias, and don't forget to stream Empathizing with Apathy, where a portion of all royalties will be donated to Artists for Change. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now here's Tristan performing his original song, Mismanaged.
Hey everyone, this is Tristan Elijah, and here's an a cappella version of my song Mismanaged. Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collides. Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collides. Clock, keep it on that chime. Just keep waking up on time. Dust covered all my blinds. The drugs open up my mind. This addiction cuts too deep. Lose my senses, lose my sleep, and hard to stand on both 2 feet. Oh, why? This addiction cuts too deep. Lose my senses, lose my sleep, might lose my senses. Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collides. Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collides. Death stranding, notwithstanding, to live life with a reckless abandon. Death stranding, notwithstanding, so much for the life I've been planning. God damn it, I can't stand it. My lungs can't take more damage. Been on the run, I'm famished, and everything that I love just vanished. Everyone that I love, they vanished. Won't let me take advantage. Time's all that's left to manage or mismanage. Ay. This addiction cuts too deep. Lose my senses, lose my sleep, and hard to stand on both 2 feet. Oh, why? This addiction cuts too deep. Lose my senses, lose my sleep, might lose my senses, lose my... Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collides. Why do I feel so empty inside? Why do I keep waking up still alive? Hand on the wheel, don't tempt me to ride. When everything within 10 feet collide.